So this is what Landon Donovan said. I actually have not heard this yet, but there's a lot of drama around the U.S. national team right now.
And I can't help but think, and I said this in the beginning of the show, this is what it means to represent your country.
Correct.
This is what it means. And if you don't want to take this as a professional soccer player and someone who gets the opportunity to wear that jersey and take it seriously and responsibly, then don't come in.
So basically, what's happening? If you missed, I don't know why you would have seen this, right? The U.S. national team is playing in the Gold Cup. Now, the Gold Cup is the championship of CONCACAF, but it's not the most important tournament in CONCACAF. That is the Nations League, which is very quickly, just because of the way that it appears in international windows, that has become the most important tournament in CONCACAF. So the last Gold Cup, a couple of other Gold Cups recently, nations send their B team. Basically, nations send their B team. So what's happened is, obviously, there was Copa America last year, and guys like Christian Pissic, Weston McKennie, right? They've been playing football almost nonstop for like 3 straight years. And so Pissic, McKennie, a couple other guys have opted out of playing at the Gold Cup. They basically said, look, we need some rest. I'm not going to go. And that's what Landon Donovan's talking about here. I think it's dumb. Like, the Gold Cup's not that important, but I understand why it is for somebody like Landon Donovan, because in Landon Donovan's day, the Gold Cup was the most important thing. Nations League didn't exist, right? There were less of these international matches, and so Gold Cup was the most important thing. It was the chance for the U.S. to play, prove that it was better than Canada, Jamaica, and all these other teams, and try and beat Mexico. And when Landon Donovan and co were able to do that, it was a huge deal. It's important because they have very few windows with Poch. I'll say this. I would rather they take a break. Let's just forget everything that happened under Pochettino in the first year and just go to the World Cup clean slate. Take a break. If Christian Pissic, I watched this man get neutered to score a goal against Iran in the World Cup, okay? I am not questioning Christian Pullisic's determination or desire to play for the U.S. national team. Okay, if he tells me he needs to take a break, then like take a break. If you need, I am on the side that I think players play too much as it is. Sorry, he got a lower pelvic wall injury. He didn't actually get hit in the nuts, but it looked like he did at the time. Pissic, if you're wondering what I was talking about. I swear what Donovan said isn't even what he believes. He just wants to sound like he was flawless in his career. Yeah, Landon Donovan was weird about this stuff too, wasn't he? And then there's another factor. Somebody, I think it was Maurice Edu, who was a former U.S. national team player that I remember, and he played in Europe. And he said, well, Landon Donovan played in the U.S. the whole time, so it's like he didn't have this travel to. I mean, it's a lot, especially over in the middle of a season. You've got a week and a half for an international break. You got to fly across the world to go play that international break. That added travel adds another layer to this for guys like Christian Pissic too. It just does, right? Because you've just got to travel more. You got to fly over an ocean. You got to deal with jet lag. You got to deal with all that. I think it's overblown. I think it's us eating our own. Klinsmann admits Donovan's sabbatical led to 2014 World Cup omission. Nice. So Landon Donovan took a break during World Cup qualifying, and he's saying this. Bro, shut up. I have a lot of respect for Landon Donovan. He's one of, if not the greatest American player ever, right? He elevated the game. He was the star. Him and Clint Dempsey were the stars growing up, but he's not, I don't think he's a great pundit. I mean, that literally is just, you took a sabbatical during World Cup qualifying in 2014, and you're going to talk to somebody like Christian Pissic, who's playing at a higher level in Europe than you ever did, right? Now, Donovan could have, probably. He was one of those guys that, just wanted to play in the United States. That was always the thing. He was an 80 on FIFA, but he was just playing in the U.S. Yeah, this is just very hypocritical from Landon Donovan. It's very easily identifiable as hypocritical. It just is hypocritical. The Donovan story is much deeper than just taking a break. It's not remotely the same thing. He had depression. I mean, okay, let's say Landon Donovan had clinical depression and that's why he was taking a break. Well, then why are you going to go abuse other people for doing the same thing that you did in order to feel better? Because you don't know what they're going through. I'm going to be perfectly honest. This break might not be physical, all right? Every single time they've suited up for the U.S. national team, the last couple of times, it's been hell. They have been abused emotionally and mentally, and they have been dumpstered, and it's not going well. And sometimes you just need a mental reset. Yeah, I'm not saying that Landon Donovan was unjustified in taking his break. I'm saying it's hypocritical for him to get mad at other people for taking a break. It's completely different. Lest we forget, Landon Donovan was also featured in a 2018 commercial for for Wells Fargo where he wore a Mexico shirt and urged American fans to root for America's other team. Something that didn't go over well. That's crazy, dude. He wore a Mexico jersey in a commercial? Why? Why? I don't remember that at all. I've never seen that. You can't wear a Mexico jersey if you play for the U.S. national team? How is this the picture? My other team is Mexico? No! No, it's not! That's like the biggest, that's the rival. What do you mean? Bro, no way.
Hey, it's me, Landon. The big tournament is just about to kick off, but not everyone's team is going, and that's okay. Wells Fargo and I are inviting anyone in need of a team to root for to join us in cheering for the Mexican national team. Vamos, Mexico.
Bro, how much did he get paid? That's so much. Keep in mind, the context to this is the U.S. didn't qualify in 2018. The salt going into the wound here, it's like a dump truck of salt going into the wound here. The U.S. didn't qualify in 2018. This is really like, not exactly, but I think just kind of general ballpark. It would be like Scotland not making the Euros and being like, yeah, let's root for England, you know? Yeah, no, this is insane. Like, if there's one thing that soccer in the United States has, it is this epic generational rivalry with Mexico that's existed for like ever, right? U.S. and Mexico have been wars. There's been, like the U.S. and Mexico have just been at odds, right? And that's extended to the football pitch. And then to have your guy who's like the talisman when your team doesn't make it to the World Cup being like, let's root for Mexico. It's beyond insane. So another thing I missed while I was at TwitchCon, Ange got fired. I want to hear your thoughts first. Right choice, right decision. I love how all the players are coming out in support. Bad fire. Very Spurs thing to do. Deserved another year. Heart says wrong choice, but head says right choice. That's a pretty good way to say it. 17th in the league is diabolical. Here, I should be reading this here. What am I? Am I a professional streamer or not? Let's get to this. I should be reading this here. 22 losses in the Prem's not good enough. Yeah, true. Now, Ange sacking was a logical choice. No room for sentimentality. Can't be an elite manager with one tactical plan. Thomas Frank is an upgrade. Okay. My thoughts on Ange, right? My thoughts on the Ange Postecoglou situation. I'm pissed that he's fired. I'm angry for Ange that he's been sacked. I'm very angry. I'm upset. I'm hot and bothered. Okay, here's an example that a lot of people will use, right? Ten Hag, right? Eric Ten Hag wins the FA Cup. They keep him. They start next year. They're still bad, and it's gone. I think there are some factors that go into Ange that don't really cross over, if that makes sense. There are some factors that go into Ange Postecoglou that don't really... it's a completely different situation. Couldn't agree more. Completely different situation. One, everybody on the team loved Ange. Everyone. He's like the most likable guy of all time. Everybody on the team loved Ange. Like the players, they all loved. There were zero locker room problems, at least that I'm aware of, at Tottenham. That was not the case with Ten Hag. It was a completely different situation there. Two, Ange was the face of it all. Ange Postecoglou was the face of the run in the Europa League in a way that you just, I don't think you really can be in something like the FA Cup. But another example I think of is Chelsea's Champions League. The guy that managed that team was out the door pretty quickly afterwards, and it's not like they were great, right? Kind of Chelsea's vibe around that time too, but yeah, Di Matteo, thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Ange Postecoglou was the face of it. And I think what Ange acquired that Ten Hag and Di Matteo and other people that maybe win a trophy but don't stick around long term, he got aura. In the whole, I'm going to win a trophy in my second season and then somehow pulling a trophy out of his ass, right? Like he got aura. He got serious aura. And I feel like he should have been given an opportunity to flex that. Because it's impossible to say that the firing isn't justified. Anybody that says it's an unjustified firing is wrong. 17th in the league is diabolically bad. It's not just bad. It's not below expectation. It is, he would have been fired in March, February, if, if they weren't still alive in Europe. He would have been fired.
I'm a Spurs fan and don't really understand when about a month ago 90% wanted him gone. Would be an emotional decision to keep him. No way we win the CL next season, and league form was terrible, so next season would have probably been worse.
No, I don't agree with that, though. I don't think it would have been worse. I think they would have started next season with their hair on fire. I don't know if they would have finished Champions League, but I think Tottenham would have been in Europe. That's just my feeling, because I think that cult of personality and the mood shift, the weight lifted off of Tottenham, right? That kind of, you know, I think they can breathe now. There isn't the pressure of, wow, I can't believe we haven't won a trophy. You can just focus on the games again. And you've got this manager that's kind of this talisman that the fans and the players all love. I feel like they would have started hot. We could regret it? No. That's the other part of the end then, dude. Thomas Frank. That's the only reason they fired Ange. That's the only reason they fired Ange was Thomas Frank. It was Thomas Frank. And I'll tell you one thing. Daniel Levy had that lined up before he fired Ange, 100%. Thomas Frank, if you don't know who he is, he's the guy who's been managing Brentford the last 7 years. Basically taken a club that has no business at all being where they are. He's made them like a mainstay there, right? He has made them a complete mainstay there. Thomas Frank is a baller. He's a brilliant manager. He is one of, if not the preeminent guy that would have been on the market this year for a move. And I think Tottenham being able to lure Thomas Frank away was the entire reason they fired Ange. I mean, that's how it works. In my opinion, that's how it should work. Now, obviously, that's awkward for Ange. Frank was probably approached in March. Yeah, I totally agree with that, dude. I totally agree with the fact that Frank was probably approached in March. They put in an ask. Because if you can get one of the preeminent managers, right, that people are saying has the ability to take that next step. He, unlike somebody like Amorim, right? He has already proven he can do it in the Premier League over years. He's not a fluke, right? And he is not somebody that lacks experience in the league. And you're going to give him the resources I think I am an Ange truther. You know this. I believe he is a brilliant manager. I believe that basically any club of the world would be happy to have Ange Postecoglou. Things conspired against him, as well as his own inability to handle the Premier League schedule, to produce an unbelievably bad league season. But him being Ange and this brilliant leader of men led to that win in the Europa League. How much of Frank's success is due to Brentford's ecosystem, compared to Graham Potter? See, here's the difference, right? Let's pull up Graham Potter's. I want to make sure I'm right on this, but let's pull up his managerial career. Thomas Frank he's a more significant part of the ecosystem himself, right? The difference between 7 years and 3 years is pretty stark. I mean, it's obviously more than double the time. I feel like Ange is a perfect fit for international competition. Yes, I think he is the type of manager that is a great international manager, and that's why he won the Asian Cup with Australia. It's what he does, right? I think Graham Potter was more of a product of the system than somebody like Thomas Frank, who was part of he helped develop the system more than Graham Potter. And I started this, but I didn't finish it. I'm an Ange truther. I love Ange. Think he's a great manager. Almost any club in the world would be super happy to have Ange, should be super happy to have Ange as their manager. I think this might actually not have been a bad move. It could backfire. It could absolutely backfire, because let's not pretend that if Thomas Frank comes out and wins one of his first 4 matches that there aren't going to be Ange. Fans just popping up over his shoulder like the Finding Nemo seagulls, If Thomas Frank struggles out of the gate, there will be people that kind of start making a lot of noise that, they should have kept Ange, and he was building it. He was building it in the right direction. Does Modric to Milan make sense? I don't know. He wants to keep playing. Sure, why the hell not, man? So, thoughts on Cristiano Ronaldo crying at the end of the Nations League? I mean, how important is the Nations League? Embarrassing? Too much? I don't know, man. I've got a rule that I try to rock with. I am never going to go after somebody for celebrating what I perceive to be too much. That being said, I don't know why. And I don't want to go after Ronaldo for this. It felt a little fake. I don't know if that's just my radar being wrong. I don't know. But I generally live by a rule where I try not to go after somebody for celebrating, because if you won, you celebrate however the hell you want. There's something about it that just felt a little I don't know. He cried at the Euros too. Yeah, but that's the Euros, The Euros has history, and it is the technical like it's defined as the championship of Europe. I would be stunned if he didn't cry if he won the Euros. I'd cry if I won the Euros. I'm not European. Yeah, maybe sentimentality. Honestly, you know what it is? Dude, somebody figured out what it is. It's the Botox, bro. That's why it looks a little weird. It's the Botox. It's totally it. It feels a little off to me because it just looks a little weird, and it's the Botox. It totally is. It's like the surgery or the Botox or whatever he does. Yeah, so it just looked and felt a little weird to me, but it's definitely because, like, his forehead does not move at all. It's just all, like, Botox to high hell. So outside of that, no, I mean, like, I'm happy for Portugal and everything. And I think it's good for the Nations League to have somebody like Ronaldo get a send-off. I think that's great for them. I was surprised that Spain lost, though. I didn't get to watch this match. Can somebody explain to me how Spain managed to lose the Nations League final? Send-off? He's never going to retire? True. He's going to be playing in the Indonesian second division trying to get to 1,000 goals, dude. Thoughts on Yamal's attitude after the final? He left the field early. That doesn't bother me at all. How much composure would you have if you lost a tournament final at the age of 17, bro? I lost the state playoff semifinal in high school, and I left the field, sat in my car for an hour, just staring off into space, then took the goalkeeping tape off my wrists, broke back into the stadium, and sat in the goal mouth for 2 hours. And that was the state playoffs. This dude just lost the Nations League final, and he's 17 years old. As long as you're not, like, fighting people, dude, I'm okay with any reaction to losing. Right. I have been hearing a lot of Nuno Mendes hype after the match, so that makes sense that's why they won. Yeah, like I don't blame Lamine Yamal at all. I refuse to get involved in the being overcritical of a 17-year-old. You know what I mean? I refuse to be involved in being overcritical of a 17-year-old. Yeah, and nobody cares. I mean, everybody, like, there are Lamine Yamal haters and Lamine Yamal truthers already. Lamine Yamal is somebody that likes to talk, and that's always going to create kind of more drama around it. If I had to pick now who's winning the World Cup, Spain. I think Spain is going to win the World Cup. I think we are entering an era of Spain dominance. I mean, Spain flattened France, and France has been my default answer for who's the most talented team for a while. I mean, it's not going to be Brazil. It's not going to be Argentina, right? I think we can all acknowledge the fact that they Messi and Inshallah their way to a World Cup last time. This is not the best Argentina team that's existed, right? It's not Italy because they're not even going to make it. It's not England because England, right? It's not Germany because they're down. I mean, the door's open, man. You're not that much better. I mean, clearly they're not that much better than everyone else. They just lost on pens to Portugal. I'm just saying, I think Spain's the best team in the world right now. Why not Portugal? I think it's one thing to survive 2 matches of the Ronaldo show, but Ronaldo's going to show up at the World Cup again. You can't make it through a whole World Cup with the Ronaldo show. We saw that in 2022, dude. You can't make it through a whole World Cup with the Ronaldo show. It does not work. It's just not, they're not going to be able to keep it together. I think Portugal was able to survive these 2 matches. I don't think they can survive a longer tournament and win. I mean, who if it's not Spain, right? You guys are saying it's not Spain. Who is it then? Who wins the World Cup next year? France? They just got dumpstered by Spain. Turkey? New Zealand? Now we're talking. Japan? Bro, I'm going to say something. And I'm either going to look like a genius or a complete idiot. Are you ready? I think if you made a list of the top 10 most likely teams to win the World Cup, I think Japan is in that. The U.S. is not. No, I'm not an idiot. The U.S. is not in it. Make a top 10? Oh, that's a terrible idea. I'm just saying I think Japan is around there. We're going to do it. We'll do it. Break out the notepad, baby. Break out the notepad. 1. Spain. 2. France. 3. England. 4. Argentina. Messi and Inshallah does work pretty well for some people. Italy is not going to be on this list, so don't even mention Italy's name. I think I'm going to go Germany 5, Portugal 6. I don't know if I'm going to keep Portugal at 6. I don't know if I'm going to keep them there. I really don't like Portugal. Even though they won the Nations League, I don't like them over a longer tournament format. I think if any of these 5 teams don't win it, it'll be a huge surprise. I would actually be quite surprised if Argentina won it. I would be more surprised if Argentina won it than Germany, I think. Croatia is definitely... I'm going to go Croatia. That's like the name that I've been juggling. Is Italy doomed? Yes. Netherlands, Japan... I hate who I'm about to put. I really hate it. It's Brazil.
Turkey or Norway?
I hate it, but it has to be Brazil, man. There's no way you can justify any other team having a better chance, better explanation for them being able to win the World Cup than them left. Here, the Eagles of the U.S.? No, I'm not going to put the U.S. over Brazil. I'm not. I think Japan has a better chance to win this World Cup than Brazil does, which is an insane sentence to say, but I am going to put Brazil there. I think Croatia wasn't supposed to make the semifinals at the World Cup 4 years ago. They weren't supposed to make the finals at the World Cup 8 years ago, but they did. As a Portuguese, I'm love being underrated. Fair. Prove me wrong, dude. I'm just a guy making a list. If Portugal turns the corner and goes out and proves me wrong and wins a World Cup and Ronaldo's send-off, then I'll look like an idiot, right? But to be fair, I did put them on the list. I didn't put Italy on the list.